me on Tuesdays from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. on KCOH TV, The Boost. You can find it at www.kcohradio.com. The Rutledge Perspective coming your way. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Tuesday. It is April the 6th, 7th, something like that. 7th. And it is time for the Rutledge Perspective. So me and Jerry are still doing what we need to do. We got our little wipes. I came in my mask and my gloves. I just don't have it on now so you can actually understand me. But Jerry's got her mask on, so we are being compliant. So I want to start like I always do with some public service announcements. And then I got a story. And then we're going to get into the stuff for today. So one, if you have not done your census yet, please do that. I think the deadline is April 15th, I think. Please, please, please do your census. If you don't do it, then they will have some people like come by and start checking on you and all that kind of stuff. So please do your census. I've done mine. It takes maybe 10 minutes and you can do it online. So please do your census. 2, please pay attention. We've got this crazy stuff going on right now. These are unprecedented times and it's 2020. So local, state, federal elections happening this year. Primaries happening this year. Pay attention in your state. Make sure that you are registered to vote. There was just something, the Supreme Court just came down. I saw it this morning, or maybe my friend posted it last night, with some absentee votes that they have thrown out in Wisconsin. So please pay attention to how you vote. If you can get an absentee ballot and get it early, do that. However you need to vote, find a way to vote. Don't let your voice be taken away just because we've got some kind of crazy stuff going on. So please pay attention and make sure you are ready to vote. And then the third thing is tax day, July 15th instead of April 15th. So that's good. We got a little bit of reprieve. And then here's a big one. So we've been hearing about this CARES Act. And that is where, this whole multi-trillion-dollar care package or funding package happened. And in that are some monies for small businesses and some expansion around unemployment. So included in that, even for student loans, a company could give up to, I think it's $5,200 to help people pay off some of their student loan debt, and it wouldn't be considered part of their income. That's huge. You can get grants from the Small Business Administration up to $10,000. And there are actually loans, and I think it's up to $10 million for a company. However, here's what's going on. Because this happened so quickly and because this is so pervasive, it's a little difficult to get your application done. It's difficult to get responses. It's just, so you need to pack your patience, which is not my superpower, so I get it. You need to pack your patience and pay attention to the forms. A girlfriend of mine was filling one out for her company, and within 2 or 3 hours, the form changed a couple of times. So just really pay attention. Call this Small Business Administration if you can. You're probably not going to be able to get through, but I think they have some automated on right now so they can give you some answers. Go online, see if you can get some frequently asked questions done. But if you are in a position where you really need that, it is available to you. And there are some parameters, like it's to cover payroll, you have to make sure you keep your people on payroll and that kind of thing. So there are some rules around it, but if it's something that you need, don't hesitate to go out there and see what you can do to get it. And here's the other thing. Hey, Suzanne, here's the other thing. And by the way, I can see people on my Facebook, so that's why I'm calling you out, but Jerry can see the ones on KCOH. So it's not that I don't know you or don't love you, it's that I can't see. So if the Small Business Administration, if that's becoming too tough and you actually have a relationship with your bank or your banker, that is something else to consider. Now, the banks are being overwhelmed too with everybody trying to do something, but if you already have a line of credit, if you already have equity loans, if you already have that kind of stuff, maybe reach out to your bank and see if there's a way you can work directly with your bank. You already have a relationship with them. They already know you. They know how you do your business. That's another thing to do. So just some things out there for you to think about. And then I have something exciting that I did last week that'll make it easier for you to reach out to me. And I don't know why I didn't think about this before, because I did this in a previous life. So instead of trying to go to my website and trying to remember how to spell my name, all you have to do is text LEAD 2020. That's LEAD 2020. LEAD 2020 to 474747. And that will give you a link so you can get directly on my calendar. So easy peasy. Now you don't have to try to go to the website, try to figure out where to go, none of that. Please still go to the website because I really love my website and there's some cool stuff on there. But if for you to get to me, instead of sitting in overwhelm, lead 2020 to 47, 47, 47. Okay, so we're going to get into today. And I want to start with a story because last week we talked about people remembering how you treat them. You got to do the right thing by people, even in these situations. And how do you treat people the best way you can under these crazy circumstances? And how do you continue to build your relationships? And how do you see how the relationships you have had over these years actually play out when things get tough? So we were having a conversation, kind of a check-in call in this mastermind group I was in. And one of the women said, you know, she has a really big client and they were going to continue to do some work with her, even with all this happening. And she got a call late last week and they said, you know what, we still want to work with you going forward because we have actually seen the changes in our group. She does leadership training. We've seen the changes in our leaders, but given what's going on right now, we really have to realign kind of our focus on doing something else, which she completely understood, right? But here's what was magical about that and what really speaks to her relationship with them, the quality of work that she's delivered, the quality of the interaction, is that they said two things to her. The first thing they did was they asked her a question. And they said, are you okay? We know you would be counting on this money from us. Are you okay with your business? Is this going to be something that's going to keep you from feeding your family or paying your mortgage or any of that kind of stuff? They asked her client asked her that. And then they followed that right up with saying, if that is the case, we will find a way to do something with you early and just advance it. So we make sure that you aren't hurting because we had to change our process in our business. Now that is incredible. That's a miracle in the mess, as Holly Dowling says, right? And it's a testament to how she has worked with them, the quality of work that she has delivered, the things that she's been able to do, and her trust in them and their trust in her, that she is going to deliver when they're able to come back. And they've seen the proof. So for those of you who are small business owners, for those of you who are working in businesses that are bigger businesses, and they're still going, but you need to change the way you're doing work, don't lose the fundamentals of how you treat people, operating in integrity. As they say, you know, trust comes in like a Greyhound, it goes out like a Maserati, right? It's hard to build, but it is easy to lose. So if you can stay grounded in your values of how you treat people, how you deliver work, staying in integrity, that's going to make a difference when times get tough. And people may still have to stop doing business with you. They may still have to cut down. Restaurants may still have to close and only do curbside delivery. But I bet you those ones that are doing that and have treated people well, when we are all released from this isolation and from staying at home, I can just imagine the lines. Nobody's going to be able to get a reservation for months.
Right.
Just to get out, right? And to go back and support the people who have supported you. So just wanted to start with a really positive, uplifting story today about what it means to really work with people and connect with people, and how that continues to give back to you if you continue to do it. So today I wanted to talk about investing, and investing during really hard times. And there was a person on before who is a financial advisor. So I'm not talking about giving you financial advice for investing. I'm talking about, yes, some monetary investment, but investment of your time, investment of your energy. Because when things get really tough like this, we have a tendency to just go to ground, to just isolate, insulate, close down, and just get really tight because we don't know what's going to happen. And some of that makes some sense, right? You don't want to do something crazy not knowing what's going to happen. But if you completely shut down everything you do, if you don't continue to think future, then when things do open up, you're going to be caught behind the 8 ball. You're going to be flat-footed. You're not going to be prepared. So on an individual side, we talked about this a little bit. If you now have some time, whether you are working from home or maybe you're having to find a different role because you have either lost your job or you have had to do a cutback in hours, so you've had to add something else, this is a great time to take some of that time and figure out what else you can do. What other tools can you add to your toolbox? We talked about the stop, start, continue list last week. And I talked about that yesterday, or what is today? Tuesday, Sunday, on an event I was on. And if you're an individual, that stop, start, continue list, yes, can be about your family and can be about your household. But also, what are the things that you do from a career perspective, from a life perspective, that you can stop, that you can start, and that you need to continue? And I would argue that there are a number of things that you could stop so that you make room for the things you should start. So remember I said, in these times when it gets really tough, the person that has the broadest range of skills and capabilities has a tendency to be the one that may be staying longer, sticking longer, because they are much more flexible, they're much more adaptable. They are able to jump in, learn quickly, do some things differently. They're not a one-trick pony, so they say. So if you, during this time, can say, you know what, I've always wanted to learn a language. Well, this is the time to do that. Or, you know, I should really brush up on my accounting, or I should really start thinking about how I'm going to do XYZ. How am I going to learn how to make masks? There was another post today. There's a small business that started making masks, and they are hiring people because there's a demand, right? It's a small business, mom and pop. They see a need. They're finding a way to fill that need. And oh, by the way, they are bringing people along with them. They are making an investment, not only in the business to be able to build these things. So product, investment in the materials, investment in the machines, investment in the space, all of that kind of stuff. They are also investing in other people so that not only are they making a product that is needed right now, but they are assisting individuals in potentially moving out of a really, dire situation. So you can, even if you have just a little, there's a way to help others with just a little. You don't have to have billions of dollars to be able to make an impact. Another good friend of mine, and I see her online, we were talking about how, you know, they go out and do their walks to try to get some fresh air and, you know, masked up and everything, of course. But this whole chalk thing, right? The people are writing on sidewalks. Hey, hang in there. We're all in this together. Oh, wow. Stay happy. And so they're just taking all this sidewalk chalk, like kids' chalk, and they're leaving notes on fences, on sidewalks, on doors, those kind of things to let people know they're not alone. And she said they got chalk bombed. That's a new word, right? They got chalk bombed when they got home with a really nice note that basically said, we're thinking about you. You know, so there are so many opportunities for you to take your energy and your resources. Is there an assisted living home that's near you? Are there some seniors that are near you that their family can't get to them, they can't get out? They are asking, a lot of these homes are asking, can you send pictures? Can you send cards? Can you get online? You know, if they have like a portal or an iPad or some kind of tablet, are you willing to just do a call with someone? You may not even know them, but are you willing to do a call and get online and just say, hey, I'm just thinking about you, just want to have a conversation, how are you doing? Connect with people. It is really important right now that isolation does not translate into isolated, because that's where things get really dangerous and get really scary. I actually posted on the HR piece today, you know, the topic this week was on substance-free workplaces, right? And how you do policies around that and how you make sure they're not discriminatory and things like that. But here's the deal, and I saw somebody post this the other day. When things get tough like this, there are people who suffer. There are people who suffer from mental illness or depression or anxiety or all of the above. There are people who suffer from a various range of addictions. And when you put this kind of stress on top of that, even if they've been doing really, really well and they are in recovery, when you add this type of stress on top of that, there is an opportunity for that person to just struggle. And if they don't have connection, if they can't go to a meeting, if they can't get to their therapist, those are the kind of things that make it a little bit dangerous. So what are you as an individual, or more importantly, as a business owner or a business leader, what are you doing to reach out to your people? You don't have to ask all their business. In fact, you don't need to know all their business. But what are you doing to reach out? What are you doing to say, you know what? Here are all the hotlines, you know, that we're posting on our website for suicide prevention and to find a therapist. Here's Psychology Today. Here's for teen therapy. Here's couples therapy. What are you doing to at least provide information and provide access to people? If you have an employee assistance program, we talked about that last week. How are you making sure people know where it is and how to get to it, and that they are not alone. They are not alone. That is part of your investment. How are you investing your time and your resources to positively impact the situation that we're in? Because it's not easy. And we're all under a lot of pressure, and it's all making us all just a little bit nuts. And unfortunately, when that's the case, sometimes we move to behaviors and our comfort zone in ways that are not necessarily what we would normally do under normal circumstances. So how can we find ways to not only get that pressure off of ourselves, but to alleviate that pressure from other people? So, back to investment. If you are looking at where you want to go and what you want to do, one of the hardest things is to spend money or to spend time when you don't have as much of it, or when you feel like you're in scarcity. And you can live in the world of scarcity, or you can live in the world of flow and abundance, as my business coaches tell me all the time. And the reality is, at some level there is enough. At some level there is enough. There are people who need you, and there are different people who may need me. And so if you work on your mindset of what are the possibilities, not what are the impossibilities, and you start thinking about where you want to go and who you want to be on the other side of this, what are you willing to invest in terms of your time, in terms of your potentially limited resources right now, to ensure that when you come out of the other side, you are ready. And yes, that could be a course, that could be, investing in some other kind of technology. That could be, I see so many people starting podcasts now and trying to get that going. I see so many people starting businesses now, especially lots of coaching businesses. So what are you willing to do to invest to figure out how to do it the right way, how to get off the ground running? This is a time when those people who are willing to continue to show up and to serve and to give will see the rewards on the other side. And that doesn't mean you have to go into debtor's prison and not eat. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there may be a time like right now where it might make sense to stretch. That's why you do the stop, start, continue. We don't know when this is going to end, but we know it will end at some point. And so is this a time for you to stretch? For you to say, you know what? I've really always wanted to get that certification. I've never done it because I've, one, not had the time, or it's kind of expensive. Maybe this is time to make the investment, and not only do I invest in the certification, but I invest in beginning to build my brand around the fact that I have that certification. I'm going to post more articles on social media. I'm going to connect with people virtually. I'm going to join virtual groups. I'm going to do things that actually start to put me out there in the public realm as an expert. And so in order for me to do that, I want to be able to demonstrate that I have invested in me, because my investment in me enables me to pour into other people. So don't just stop and say, I absolutely have to hunker down and can't do anything. Because there may be something you can do. There may be something that might be a little painful, might be a little bit of a stretch, but in the long run makes a difference. In the long run makes a difference. This is not a sprint. We are running a marathon. Yeah. We are running a marathon. This is not going to be over tomorrow. And we don't know what over looks like. So new normal isn't necessarily going to be what it was back in January, February. New normal is going to be a new normal. So how are you prepared for what that new normal looks like so that you can be flexible, can be adaptable, are ready to give back, are ready to go back to work, whatever that looks like? How are you working through that? And then if you look at the side of small businesses, I'm just blown away every day by, one, the generosity and the kindness of many of these small businesses who are hurting themselves and are digging deep to make an impact where they can. They are serving their communities where they can. They are finding ways to say, we are all in this together, and if I can help, then I'm willing to help. Because again, if you do that, that stuff comes back to you tenfold. It really and truly does. If you believe it does, it really and truly does. And I'm seeing, like I talked about, that small business starting to make masks. You're seeing bigger businesses change the way they make the products that they make. I think it was the Gap I saw yesterday is now changing all their production. They're now going to be making scrubs and masks, not clothes. And they've got the production to do that. And what's beautiful about that is then when this is over, not only have they shown flexibility and resilience, they have shown that they are a business that has a value system and a culture that cares and wants to make an impact, which is going to impact their ability to find good talent and get people to stay. It also means that they now have an ability to go back from a strategic perspective and say, you know what, this was a tragic situation, but this is how we made it through that. We were creative, we were responsive, we moved quickly, and there's no reason why we can't do that on a regular basis. So the challenge for them will be not to go back to that standard old, well, we got to have 42 meetings before we make a decision.
Yeah.
You didn't do that to start making masks. So if you can then take that new business model and say, no, we're going to go back to making clothes, but now we've got this side business. We got this side business of masks and scrubs, and who knows what that'll turn into. You may not completely make it go away, but you also have people who now have additional skills. So you have helped to build that. Small businesses that have kept people on, that are redoing the way they do businesses, that have taken tequila and now they're making hand sanitizer. Mm-hmm. Again, they are helping their community, they're delivering something that's needed, and they have been really resilient, they have changed quickly, and they have met a need in a way that enables them to continue to support and continue to employ people. And that's huge. That is huge right now. And I think we have to try as much as we can to operate in that space of possibility and not that space of fear, because it is really scary. When you hear the numbers of people who are infected and people who are dying, and when you see the pictures, it is scary. And I suggest you turn off the news.
Yeah.
I mean, you need to know what's going on. We can't bury our heads in the sand, but what you put in your mind and what you think, you become.
Yeah.
What you think, you become. What you see, you become. What you hear, you start to feel. And that gets in there somewhere. There's a lot of psychological studies that talk about that stuff that gets in our brain and how it impacts our psyche and how it impacts even us from a physical perspective, not just mental and emotional. So turn off the news. Maybe just find a little newsletter that gives you the update, something like the Skim that just says, here's the highlights. Read the highlights and keep it moving, because you will get yourself into a level of craziness that is just not supportable. It's just not supportable. So I really want you to think about, how do I take this time? How do I get really strategic about investing in me? Because you have to be a little bit selfish in order to be selfless. And so how can you take some time, take some energy, take some effort and invest in you? And even going back to simple things like setting intentions. I actually did that again for the first quarter. I need to go back and do them again and be much more specific about my intentions. And getting clear on what I want to have happen for this next quarter. For the next year, yes, but getting really granular. For this next quarter, here are the things that I want to do for this show. Here are the things that I want to do for my family. Here are the things that I want to do in my business. And get really clear about those, not only what they are, but why they are, and what the impact of those is, and what I am willing to do and not willing to do to get them. Because we have to be honest about the stuff we're not willing to do. Mm-hmm. And we can make those choices, but those choices have consequences. So if you are someone who is not technically savvy, I would think that that's going to be really hard right now, because everything is on technology since you can't be anywhere with anybody. But if you are either afraid of technology or just refuse to deal with technology, that's a choice. And having a hiatus from technology every once in a while is a good thing. Giving yourself some space from social media is a good thing. And that is a choice to not be connected through technology. It is a choice that can prevent you from being on the cutting edge. It is a choice that can prevent you from connecting with people. It is a choice that puts you behind the curve in terms of creativity and movement. It is a choice. No one is doing this to you. It is a choice. And we all have a choice in how we operate and how we want to move forward. And some choices are good, some choices are bad, but all choices have consequences. And those consequences are good and bad. So be sure you're really clear about the choices that you're making. This is also an opportunity to really get rid of chaos. And Michelle, She is a certified I'm going to get this wrong. Certified organization person. So, and I didn't even know you had certifications for that. So people who will come in and organize your house and all that.
Really? I didn't know.
I didn't know that either. And she's incredible. But she talks about chaos. And she said, if your house, if your life is in chaos, we need to work on that. And she said, well, you know what chaos means, don't you? And I was like, yeah. She said, no. Chaos. Can't have anyone over syndrome. I was like, that is my house, right? Where every time somebody calls, I'm like, whoa, wait, what can I throw in the closet, right? So this is a great time for you to manage your chaos.
That's good.
How can you clean up your space? How can you clean up your mind? How can you clean up the people that are in your space and in your life? Because sometimes you just gotta say no, or even if it's not no, not right now. And that's okay. Right? Or have those relationships be managed in a way that works for you. Because you are not obligated. You're not obligated to stay somewhere where you're not wanted or appreciated.
That's good.
Now, you might have to stay for a certain period of time depending on what your circumstances are, but you have a choice. And if you're staying somewhere and it's not where you need to be, make a plan. Don't hurt you because you're mad at them.
Yeah.
Make a plan to manage all of that chaos in your life so that you can then move forward to be where you need to be in a way that you need to be so that you can bring your full self to what needs to go on. So these are the things that we have to make happen during this time, because it is really easy for it to be just about us right now. It's really easy for it to be just about us. And one of the best ways to keep yourself out of that kind of depression and down and woe is me is to reach out to others. To remind yourself that you aren't alone, and that every day, I told Jerry when I walked in, every day on this side of the daisies is a good day. So if you are here and you are breathing, this is a good day, and do what you can to make it the best day possible. So find those ways that you can really take time to invest in you, because if you don't believe in you, how's anybody else supposed to believe in you?
That's good.
Those are the keys. So now,
how do you invest in you?
So, that there are multiple ways to invest in you. There's the self-care way to invest in you, right? So taking time, resting, getting good sleep, exercising, all of those kind of things that don't necessarily cost you money, but they do take your time. Time to meditate, time to journal, time to just have, even if meditation is not your thing, time to have just quiet time to just be with you. That's a way of investing in you. The other way to invest in you is through team. So if you're either a small business owner, if you're a big business owner, if you're a department leader, how do you take some time to invest in team? So for me, I have someone who does my websites, and I have someone who posts my podcasts and all that kind of stuff. And it's an investment, and I have to pay attention to that because, at some point you can't just save yourself to prosperity. Something has to be coming in the front of the funnel. But the reality is, by investing in team, it frees you up to do the stuff that's in your zone of genius, the stuff that only you can do. So if I am putting stuff on my website, or I am doing my Facebook ads, or I'm posting stuff to Libsyn, I'm doing all that kind of stuff, what I'm not doing is reaching out to my clients. What I'm not doing is reaching out to potential clients. What I'm not doing is helping businesses who are trying to figure out how to manage through this from an HR perspective. What I'm not doing is being present and visible and helpful to those people who I want to serve, because I'm recording a podcast and putting it out on Libsyn. Now, I did that for a long time, and I did all of my little graphics for a long time, and I did, because you got to do what you got to do. But at some point, it's time to stop trading dollars for time.
Yeah.
You got to stop trading dollars for time. What is it costing you to do that work? What revenue, what connections is it costing you that you could actually be getting that is much more than that money you're going to spend to have somebody that's an expert do it? Because I tell you, if I can do it in an hour, that means they can probably do it in 20 minutes, which means I get 5 times more stuff done in that hour than if I were doing it myself.
Good.
So the return on that investment is 5 times for the dollar. So think about the stuff that you don't need to be doing. There's a book, I don't know if I mentioned it before, that talks about your zone of genius. It's called The Big Leap. I highly recommend it. The Big Leap, L-E-A-P, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. It is a phenomenal resource, and it talks about how we operate in our zone of comfort, how we operate in our zone of excellence, and how we operate in our zone of genius. To invest in yourself means to be operating in your zone of genius. And that investment, not only just money, but also time, can also mean making the decision of stuff you are not going to do. That's an investment. That's an investment in your peace of mind. That's an investment in your focus, and that's an investment in your strategy. I'm going to do this, which means I am not going to do this, right? The opportunity cost. So I am not going to keep posting stuff. I'm going to get all the content ready, and I'm going to send it to people who can make it pretty and put it up there and know my brand. That's what I'm going to do, right? So investment is taking the time to really get clear on what you want, and then understanding what dollars you have and investing those where you get the biggest return for your dollar. That return in revenue, that return in time, that return in connections, that return that is going to ultimately bring you where you want to be. That's about investment. Did that make sense?
Yes. Because I'm thinking what you're saying too, because if we're not careful, we're doing everything ourselves right now, and then you'll get fearful and say, well, I can do my own hair, or I can do my own graphics, which happened to me last night. And I said, well, I need to say this. And I thought, that is not the look I want. I know what Sharon can do. She's worth that investment.
Yes.
Even in a crisis, you're still worth that investment. That's what
Yes.
you're saying. And with the hair thing, by the time you go try to find a perm kit, you're never going to be able to style it, probably. Not as good as the one that did. And who really wants to spend that kind of time doing that when somebody else is skilled in doing that?
Exactly.
So you're saying don't get fearful and saying what you can do without now.
Exactly. Fear is a killer. Fear is a killer. And you can be mindful. You know, nobody's saying just open up your bank account and just spend as if you don't have to worry about it. That's not what we're saying.
Right.
What I'm saying is don't be so fearful that you don't spend where you need to.
Ah, that's good.
Right? Don't be so fearful that you don't spend where you need to. So take simple. All this runs on grocery stores, right? Do you really need this designer brand of milk? Or can you buy the store brand?
I can't.
Right? Do you really need to have 12 things sitting on your website right now? Or can you have 2 really good ones because it's going to cost you just a little less money, but those are higher quality instead of you trying to get 12 that don't look like anything, they're not on brand, and don't say what you want them to say. So go back and look at, if this is my pool of money, where do I, or time, because that's an investment too, that's a resource, where is the best return for that? And don't be afraid to do what you need to do to get the return, because it's the return that you're after. Because if you're getting the return, the investment is paying for itself. So it's not about spending tons of money. It's not about spending no money. It is about spending your resources wisely for the goal that you want to achieve in the time that we have going right now. That's simple.
That's good.
That's simple.
Because you just asked me when I was telling him about Pete being outside, and I said, well, I'm just waiting to give him something. Because I thought about it. You can't not take care of those that took care of you
Absolutely.
in the up season. And
Yep.
even though it's a down season, it is a test of faith to
Yes.
still make sure you do what you can
Yes.
with what you have to provide. And I do believe, because we're talking on that, it's a spiritual principle though. But because this is really the test of our faith right now, if we're still going to take care of our obligations.
Yes.
And
Yes.
some people are your obligation. In a good way. If you're a business owner, you take care of what's been taking care of you to get you to where you are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
People will remember how you treat them.
Yeah.
They will remember that. People are going to remember these businesses that went out and made masks. They're going to remember the people that did hand sanitizer. They're going to remember the folks that delivered meals.
Right.
They're going to remember the restaurants that said, no, we got you. Right? They're going to remember that. The fact that HEB has now got some local restaurants. For those of you who are not in Houston, that's a local grocery chain, local Texas grocery chain. And they went out here in Houston and got some local restaurants to make meals that they would sell in the grocery store. Right? They just posted that the other day. So HEB, which does a lot for the communities around Texas anyway, is now, under these circumstances, doing their best to take care of their employees. They have changed hours. They have, limited the people that can get in the stores. They are trying to provide as much PPE as they can when they can get their hands on it. And they are doing what they can to help other businesses around to support them. Because ultimately, each one reach one. If you can lift someone up, you never know the next time you're down, that may be the person that reaches down to get you. So don't just believe that if you don't have $1 million, you can't help. It's not just about money. It's not just about money. It's about care and concern and understanding that we are not alone, and none of us gets out of this alone. None of us gets out of this alone.
Yeah. And again, can't do what you did before, but you can do something.
You can do something.
Yeah, so do what you have to do, because everybody's in this together.
Right.
And they recognize that it hit everybody.
Everybody.
I was talking to somebody, and she's wealthy, but she was saying it hit me because to get that wealth, it's a lot of things have been canceled.
Yes.
And so she said, thank God I had a cushion, but who's to say how long that's going to last?
Exactly. And that's the hard part, because, they talk about how in the U.S., there are so few people that have even more than $1,000 in savings, right? So, and truly, financial people tell you should have at least 6 months, in savings, 6 months to survive. And how many of us really have that? And even, I had a question about money. I don't even remember who asked me this. There was a question about there's a summit coming up, and when we get the final dates and everything, I'll let you guys know. It's called Mamas and Money, and I'll promote it because I think it's a great summit. And so we were talking about this, and the woman is a financial planner, a financial expert, and we were talking about our thoughts around money and our thoughts around and fears around money. And she said, Laurel, how have you thought about money, over time? And I said, and I'm really transparent on this show, and so I don't have any problem saying this. I tend to have a real fear around money and a fear around debt. I don't know where that came from, but I have a real fear around debt. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be in debt. Debt makes me nervous.
Me too.
It makes me really nervous. And at the same time, there is such a thing as good debt, right? And bad debt. But just having debt is something that weighs on me, because I know that I know that I know that I know. It's just a basic business principle. You can't cut your way to prosperity. If nothing is coming in the top, eventually you're still going to have to pay that light bill. You're still going to have to pay rent. You're still going to have to pay all these things. And if nothing is coming in, you can't do that. So all of these companies that get into this mode, especially big companies, when things get tight, they automatically just start cutting. Now, there is probably some fat there somewhere that they can cut, but they start cutting into bone. And in the last recession, they were cutting like marrow, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they were deep in cuts. And even that, you can't necessarily save yourself just by cutting. You've got to find a way to bring things in. And so for me, when I tell people, think about your resources, think about investing, I am saying that as someone who has a fear of debt, who has a fear that something's going to happen and I'm not going to be able to eat. Or I'm not going to be able to help my family, or I'm not going to insert thing here, right? I have that fear personally. And I also know, one, I'm a woman of faith, and I know that as long as I'm not stupid, it's going to be all right.
That's right.
And I also know that if you operate in fear, nothing gets done, and you have to at some point believe in you, believe in what you're trying to do, make calculated decisions, make research decisions. But if you just sit in that fear of, oh my gosh, I can't spend it, if you're not pushing out, nothing's going to come back. You got to spend money to make money.
Yeah.
You got to spend money to make money. I mean, when you think about the things you guys are doing here at KCOH, the new investment in the screen that's going to show, the investment in all the graphics, all of that kind of stuff. You have to spend money in order to make money.
Yeah.
especially now, if you're not using social media, if you're not getting out there, if people don't know you and can't see you and can't get to you, then how are they going to buy from you?
Absolutely. And this is a good time to do that. I mean, even though it seems like, okay, that's a lot of money to do when you talked about the screen and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's going to generate people
Exactly.
who otherwise probably pass by and didn't even know it was still open.
Yes.
So you have to spend money to make money. You have to do something. Get in the comedy club ready. And I was saying this is a good time when everybody is released. That'll be the grand opening of the comedy club because we need to laugh. I mean, we need to relax and people are going to be ready to go out. So what is it that you could be doing in the meantime and in between time? And I was telling my hairstylist, you need to do some tutorials.
Absolutely.
You need to make sure you're telling us what to do with our hair so we don't be bald headed when we get to you.
Right.
You know, because we can't do what you do. So you need to teach us and tell us stuff, and then that's going to keep you before the people because sometimes out of sight is out of mind.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
You have to stay present, and not just present. I mean, don't just go out and just to be out. Go out and deliver. Go out and serve. Go out and say, no, you know what? I'm going to do what I can to make this better or to add value. That's what you want to do. Mm-hmm. You want to add value, and when you're adding value, people see that, and they want more of that. So the more you can serve and the more you can add value, the more likely you're going to be on the front of someone's mind when things open up and they say, "Oh, I remember seeing that woman on the radio and she talked about this. I need to find her." Or I remember that business found a way to get me XYZ. I'm going to go patronize them. People remember how you treat them. They remember what you do.
I've got 2 bookings in another city just from being on post here at the station from other cities that are tuned in and that are looking, and when this is over, you're booked to do what you do.
Absolutely.
And that's why I say it's important to stay present,
Right.
even when it doesn't look like anything is opening up, because you never know. Same for you, because you do training and teaching, and we're all over the world. So someone hears you in this recession or this time that we're in right now and says, okay, I remember her. I need to get her booked.
Absolutely.
So, man, that's good. You can still work in a drought.
You can absolutely still work, and you should.
Yeah.
You should, even if that work is working on you. You should not be sitting idle during this time. And again, I am not saying that this is not hard. I am not saying that we don't have moments, because I got to tell you, this last weekend was a hot mess for me. I don't know that I think I did get out of bed, and I did do some stuff around my house, but it was one of those things where you find yourself just kind of walking from room to room.
Yeah.
You're like, I need to sit down somewhere and do something productive. And then I decided, no, there is something in my spirit today that I just need to sit. I just need to sit. I sat, I read a book, I watched some movies. I just replenished me. And so you have to give yourself that time. You know, you can't be 100% of the time. And if you are trying to push through all the time, that makes it even worse and even harder, because then there's that resistance. So own it when you're not there. It's okay. Just don't let yourself stay in that. Don't let yourself stay in that spiral of despair. Find a way. Call somebody. Go somewhere. Well, don't go somewhere right now unless you're gloved up, masked up. Walk around your backyard. Stand out on your balcony. Whatever it is. But get a change of scenery to change your mind. Change your perspective. Change your circumstances. It's really important that you think about doing that. And something for the people that are listening globally. I thought about this on the way in. So Adrian is going to be on next week. I was going to say this later, but I'll say it now. Adrian, who is our attorney, is going to be on next week. Because last week I talked to you guys about the question that was saying, how do we decide if we are going to have to either drop hours or let people go? How do we decide? How do we do that process? So talk to Adrian. He's going to come in. We're going to talk about some real more detailed kind of HR stuff and how you can really make sure you're in compliance and all that kind of stuff. Among other things, because it's Adrian. There's no telling what we'll be talking about. But I also remembered, while my show tends to be focused in the U.S., I do know attorneys in Germany. And I know we had some people from Germany. I do not know an attorney in France, but I'm going to see if I can find one. Because those are the 2 countries I think I heard.
We'll put it out there.
And so we're just going to, if you know somebody who's really good, you've seen the show, you see how I like to work. This is not about feeding people a lot of stuff. This is about really giving people good information that they can act upon. So I can't promise But I'm going to do my best to see if I can get in touch with my old colleague who is an attorney, an employment attorney in Germany, and see if there's a way we can do like a call or something. This is going to be a tough time for them, 10 o'clock. And I may even just try to do a Facebook Live and just post it, right? Just do an interview with them at another time when it's convenient for them and just post it so you guys can get it. But I am committed to trying to find a way to find somebody in at least Germany and France, because I know that's people we had on.
Absolutely.
I remember those countries. So I will do my best, y'all, to get that, because I know there are some specifics going on there. And while I know some of that because I have worked globally, what I don't want to do is feed you false information.
That's good.
So we're going to go get an expert to try to help do some things around that area. So, and to that end, as we talk about this investing in you and investing in team, the other thing I want to remind you guys about, and this is both personal if you're a group leader or team leader or even your own person, or you are a business owner, is what I call the courage of inclusion. And you'll see this will be coming out this week on my podcast, the courage of inclusion. And that's about, especially in this day and time, again, people revert back to the behaviors that are comfortable. We all talk about diversity and inclusion, and now it's diversity, inclusion, and equity, or diversity. I think they're calling it diversity, equity, inclusion, so the initial don't spell die. The big piece of that is about inclusion. So you can have as diverse a group as you want, but if people are not able to have their ideas heard, their perspectives heard, all of that kind of stuff, it's just eye candy. It's just window dressing. Inclusion is where the value is, for the most part. So as you're thinking about the people that you are surrounding yourselves with, as you think about your stop, start, continue, as you think about where you need to go and what you need to be and what skills you need to add, as you're a small business and you're thinking about what team do I need to bring on in these times so I'm prepared, have the courage to include people in that team who don't think, act, or look like you.
Mm-hmm.
Strong leaders, courageous leaders, hire for their weaknesses.
Yes.
There are things that I know that are not my strong suit, patience being one of those. But I also know that, and am confident enough in what I am good at, that I hire people that are good at the other stuff.
Absolutely.
And it is not, I don't take it as an affront to my capability. I don't take it as a slam on how smart I am or how capable I am. In fact, I take it the exact opposite. I am smart enough and savvy enough to say, I don't know that, but I can find somebody who does.
Absolutely.
And they're going to be a part of my team. So when you are looking at this stop, start, continue, when you're looking at investing in team, just like we talked about finding somebody who can do the website or finding somebody who can do your posting, if that is not your strong suit, or even if it is, but that's not your business, go find somebody who can. Find somebody who understands branding. Find somebody who understands graphic design. Find somebody who understands sound. Find somebody who understands the stuff that you don't. Learn as much as you can from them so that you can at least be at some level self-sufficient. So I can post to my website if I have to. I can post all these things if I have to. And what that does is give me comfort that if I get a creative moment, I'm like, oh, I need to put this out there. I don't have to wait for it to be on somebody's schedule. So I can do that. But I also know that I've now got somebody who's in charge of making sure I'm out there, I'm consistent, it's quality, and it's on brand. And I don't have to worry about it. So go find those people who think differently than you, have a different perspective, who are a different creative genius than you, and invest in them as an investment in you.
Yeah. And that's good what you said about you can post on your website. It reminds me of a time that Sharon will always say, let me show you how to do this, let me show you how to do that. And so often I say, I don't need to know, I got you.
Right.
No, shut up. And so she said, you don't need to know this. And
Yes.
so I have been watching and learning, but you need to know it in case you need it. But it's good to have it.
Absolutely.
And that's good because a lot of leaders we don't want to get into the details a lot of times. And when times come up like this, like when I told you the internet was down and I'm like, oh God, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
And I was glad that I had watched some things and learned some things to know how to get us back up on this morning. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about, I think it's next week on my podcast, that whole what versus how, right? So as you start your business and it's just you, or as you start your career and you're learning, it's all about what you can do. It's all about the skills you have. It's all about your technical capabilities. That's what it's all about in the very beginning. Whether you're building a business or building a career, it's all about what you can do. But that curve begins to quickly change into how you do it, right? The how becomes more important. So especially as you become a leader, it is not about your technical capability. It's about how you get other people to follow you. It's about how you can communicate a vision. It's about how you hire. It's about how you do performance evaluations. It's all of the how. Because even if you are the greatest technician in the world, if you make people feel like dirt, if nobody wants to work with you, if people don't want to stay in your department, it don't matter.
Yeah.
Because what they're really paying you to do is not be a leader. They're paying you to be a technician, and that's not going to last very long.
That's good.
Because they're eventually going to figure that out. So really, when you think about you as a leader and where we're going, this is a perfect time around that investment to pick up additional skills for sure. That's going to give you additional leadership capabilities and things in your toolbox, but also to work on those things that you know are your weaknesses. That you know are your weaknesses.
You said something last week about the IT person. It's going to be so needed right now.
Yes.
And when everything went off, I was like, but I don't have an IT person.
Right.
And he said, well, you it. So I had to pray, and he led me to figure it out. But I don't want to be in that rut because I'm like, well, we need an IT person in case something greater happens and you don't know how to keep it moving.
Yes.
But it's so amazing how what's happening now really will make you think about stuff, because they said essential workers can only go to work.
Right.
So even with some churches, I didn't see a lot of outreach taking place. But they were in an uproar because they were not considered essential. But now I see a lot of outreach taking place because now we're recognizing we got to stay essential.
Exactly.
And that means learning some new skills.
Exactly.
Wow.
You got to stay relevant.
Yeah.
You got to stay current. So as I said earlier, if you're one of those people that, is afraid of technology or afraid of change, and change is hard. I've got a person that I'm going to be interviewing for my podcast who is a change expert. And change is hard, but the only thing, what is it saying? The only thing constant is change.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Change is hard. And if you are not willing to change, if you're not willing to embrace this chaos, if you're not willing to move through this crazy time and think differently and set your mindset to be one of how am I going to be on the other side? What do I need to make it through, as opposed to, oh my gosh, oh woe is me, this is horrible. And we all have those moments, right? But if you can't figure out how to not stay in there and be resilient through this change, it is going to be devastating for you when we come out of the other side. Because I am telling you, our new normal for now is not going to be the new normal when this is over. And the new normal is not going to be what it was. It is not. It is not. And that includes businesses. Because businesses have had to figure out how to work differently. And why would they go back to old school when they've now found a way to be more efficient and more effective? So you got to find a way to be in that group of people that says, yes, and I know how to do that too.
Do you know Pastor Ralph Douglas West? Have you ever heard of him?
I have heard the name.
Okay, he has a very large congregation, Church Without Walls. And
Yes.
He was on an interview the other day, and I appreciated his transparency. He said, man, this is hard for me. I'm a pastor who's used to having 6 services a Sunday.
Yes.
And now it's not like that. So the guy says, what do you think church is going to be when this is over? He said, oh, it ain't going to be the same, man. He said, let's be realistic. People are going to come back for a little while, but then they're going to figure out, I can stream this. I can do this. He said, so here I am, an older guy that's been in this a long time. I'm having to learn some new things and do some new things. And I think until we get to that reality, that it's not going to be the same again. But there are some people who think it's going to go back to the way that it was.
And it's not. And if you think about that example, right? So those churches that decide, or any of those organizations that decide, oh, now we don't have to live stream anymore. Be ready for people to just say, okay, well, I'm going to go somewhere else. Why? Not because they don't love you anymore, but because maybe, you know what? I can't today, but I don't want to miss service, or I don't want to miss, this video, or I don't want to miss this workshop, but I can't go in person for whatever reason. What about all of your older people that are in your congregations or in your organization that may be homebound, or people who may just be sick? If you all of a sudden just stop the option, you are stopping your connection. And why would people stay?
This young lady's last name is Shipley, and I'm like, duh, that's
V.
the devil. Yeah, that's V. Shipley. That's the devil. I'm going
Right.
She said, that's my pastor. Well, your pastor spoke a good word the other day.
Awesome.
Because what I'm finding out, I went to 6 services Sunday
Yes.
and was done in an hour and a half.
Online.
And I look at it this way. Look at the blessing of it. A lot of stuff was cut out that may have not been necessary. It can get you ready for television when this is over.
I'm just saying.
Oh, man.
Speaking in sound bites, you know, some of the media training I've had has been so helpful because you need to know how to speak in sound bites.
Yeah.
You need to know how to be quick. You need to get to a point. And I'm telling you, you know, when you say that, here's the other thing. You get to visit churches. You get to visit other organizations. You get to go see something. Like all the museums now that you can go visit the Louvre online. Are you kidding me?
That's how I got a speaking engagement. I was just visiting the church
Yes!
a lot of time. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm in church in Ohio. I'm in church in New York now.
Yes.
And it's exciting, but
Yes.
it can be fearful, though.
It can be.
Because you think that you may lose everybody.
Right.
At this. So how
Right.
do you stay relevant with all this going on?
And here's the thing I would say again, change your perspective, change your circumstances. Instead of thinking of it as if we continue to offer online, we're going to lose people.
Mm-hmm.
How about thinking of it as we are now offering something that gives more access to more people?
Absolutely.
We are expanding our reach by being accessible. How about that? How about that? Right? Because would that church in Ohio have ever seen you?
No.
There are people who never would get to Paris to see the Louvre.
Nope.
There are people in Houston who may not have ever been to the Museum of Fine Arts.
No. Me? Nope.
And now you can get online. The things that they're doing for kids to see places, you can literally travel online.
Really?
Yes. I mean, there's so many places that are opening up and just saying, hey, come look at our pictures. I follow Travel and Leisure. And they're like, you know what? We can't travel right now. We're going back to our archives. Here's all the places we've been. You know, here's a slideshow on Portugal, or here's a slideshow on Sri Lanka, or whatever. I don't know if I'll ever get to Sri Lanka. But it sure is.
By
and-
Galveston?
No. No, that's funny. So, you know, but now I can. Now I can go.
Wow.
And so instead of thinking of it as now I'm going to have to, you know, people aren't going to come back because they want to do online, or people aren't going to be in the church. And there is something to be said for community and to be in community with other people physically.
Right.
And that is important. And making sure that you are accessible is important. People need to be able to reach you. They need to be able to find you. And if they can't do so physically, why are you leaving them out? Why are you leaving them out?
And just like we have Annette that's on now, and she's in Brooklyn, New York. She's the one that
Hey,
said
Annette.
to post it that she heard no sirens last night.
Yes.
And that's a blessing because of all the death rates that have been going up and
Yes.
things going on in New York. So
Praying for you, Annette. That's
via
scary.
the radio app, via the website, via Facebook Live, we are talking to people all over the world.
Yes. Yes. We are accessible. There's a place that people can come and say something and hear something and hopefully get a little something,
Yes.
you know, that's worthwhile and worth their time, because it's important to connect. It is important to connect. Don't sit in overwhelm. Think about how you're going to invest your time and your resources in you during this time, because a better you means a better ability to serve.
I'm
It's
sorry,
just that
Bronx,
simple.
New York. She said not Brooklyn.
Oh, sorry,
So my bad. My bad.
Bronx.
Boogie.
So yeah, it's important to remember to not go to ground. Don't go dark, right? Don't go dark. Don't just stay in your cave. Find a way to connect with people. Go look at a museum online. You never know. This might be the time that you become a painter or a sculptor or whatever. You don't know. You don't know where you're going to get inspired. And so give yourself the opportunity to figure out what is something that I've always wanted to do, and now I can actually do it remotely, and do that. Do
You
that.
said you had a party online with some
We
friends.
did. It was awesome.
Oh wow.
It
What
was
did you guys
awesome.
do?
We had a little happy hour.
Oh.
It was a beautiful thing. Had a few little adult beverages.
Oh, okay.
But we were all at home, so it didn't matter. Right? We were all at home. We could see each other's faces. We were laughing and reminiscing and chit-chatting and checking in, you know, and not just checking in from the standpoint of, because people, I think, are getting tired of that too. Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm fine. Stop asking me, right?
I feel that.
And so I think that's part of being mindful is sometimes just that question can send people into a spiral.
Mm.
So instead of saying, "Are you okay?" say, "Hey, I'm here. What's going on?"
I did my sister like that. She said, "I'm okay again."
Right. Stop calling me.
Yes,
right?
I'm liking that.
Right. So don't always start out, and it's about tone too. Oh, are you all right?
Yeah.
Is everything? Mm-mm. Hey, what's going on? Do you need anything?
That's
And
good.
keep it moving, right?
Let's
And
keep
start
it
something
moving.
else. So be mindful not only of your own spirit, but the people that you check in with, be mindful of theirs too. Because our energy is pervasive. The energy we put out is the energy that we get back in. And if we are putting out energy that is fearful and dark and tired, we're going to get back that same energy.
Say that again.
Yeah, we cannot be fearful and dark and tired.
And tired.
And we all are tired. I know I'm tired. But how can we turn that tired into connection?
Let me tell you something that I said this. I said the other day I was so tired I didn't want to come into work, and I had posted about 5 times I was going to not come. And then I ended up coming because God said, no, you're going to be there.
Right.
But today when I came in and couldn't get on the air, it was like all this energy out of nowhere. Like I said, God, forgive me.
Right.
I'll never complain again. I'm not tired. I'm all right.
Right.
So
right.
it'll be amazing when we see, because I think this time out has made us respect what we probably
Yes.
lost zeal for or respect for.
And that's a great way to think about it. This is a global timeout.
Yeah.
This is a global timeout. I mean, look at what's happening. They've been posting pictures of the sea turtles on the beaches of Brazil. They're now hatching because nobody's on the beach. So the turtles now are free to like hatch and get into the ocean and all that without any problems. You're seeing pictures of green space coming back, of animals coming back, because we are not in the way. I'm just
At
saying.
Herman Park, there's a waterfall thing,
Yes.
and it says stay off the grass because the grass needs to breathe.
Yes.
So what I imagine that's what Earth is. We
The
haven't
Earth is
had a time to
breathing.
breathing. Oh wow!
Because we are leaving it alone.
We are leaving it alone.
We are leaving it alone. And I'm not saying, we don't, and we're in Texas, so, we do oil and gas, and I just try to keep as low a carbon footprint as possible. I got control issues, though, so I need my vehicle. So, I do very much am mindful of keeping as low a carbon footprint as I can. But this time out has been a time out for all of us. It has been a time out for where we live. It has been a time out for just the world as a whole.
Yeah.
To just take a minute. Take a minute. What's important? What do we really need and what do we not need? My girlfriends were on Marco Polo together, and we just said, you know what? I'm looking at this closet, and half this stuff I don't wear or don't need. This is a perfect time to purge. Just purge. Do I need all these dishes? Do I need all this paper? And when the answer is no, and I'm not saying the kind of the Marie Kondo. If you don't love it, then throw it out. And that people really love that. My mind just didn't work that way. But if it's if you got stuff, this is a great time to go through your stuff and figure out what stuff is important and what stuff is just stuff. Because when this is over as well, there are going to be people who probably need your stuff that you don't need.
Yep.
So I'm just saying, this is a horrific time that we are in. It is scary. It is serious. It is dangerous. It is overwhelming. It is oppressive. It is all that stuff. And it is an opportunity to do something different.
Because it's going to be different.
Because it's going to be different.
So we got to do it.
So we got to do it. We got to do it. So, what time is it? So it's about that time. Again, Adrian is going to be on next week. And we will be here. Still being compliant. We will be here. To get me, again, I got an easy way now. Lead 2020 47 47 47. So text lead, which is lowercase, lead 2020 to 47 47 47. And you'll be able to get on my calendar for a free call. And let's just chit chat. What can I help you get through, get over, get around, make a way? I am willing to do that. Thank y'all so much for being here again. Welcome to April. We're going to do this.
It's done.
It's done.